I only got one more night. I'm gonna live out loud goodbye.
This gonna be the type of night they make movies about.
What up, what up, what up? It's your boy, Mr. Vine. Mr. Vine's channel, Sweatbox. We back, we live, we active here on the channel. Yes, indeed. And we're talking Avengers Endgame. Spoiler talk. Avengers Endgame. Spoiler talk. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say it again. Let's get into it. The movie was phenomenal. I loved it. It didn't disappoint. I'm going to be seeing it again. I waited to do this to give y'all a chance to see it. That chance is done. If you ain't seen it, fuck's wrong with you? Let's talk about it. The movie starts with the death of Hawkeye's family, just like I knew it would. I mean, the opening shot of the movie is the arrowhead of Hawkeye's daughter as he's teaching her how to shoot at the picnic before they get dusted. And I'm in the theater, and as soon as that scene comes on, as soon as you hear it over the crowd, you hear, oh, because niggas know what was about to go down. It was tragic. And so that goes down, and then you cut to Tony in space with with Nebula in the Benatar, and they're playing table football with the paper football back and forth. He's teaching how to play. They're dying. He does the message to Pepper that you see in the trailer. Yada, yada, yada. They can't fix the ship. He goes to die. Captain Marvel comes to save him, brings him back to Earth, where they click up with the rest of the Avengers, where you get my first favorite scene of the movie. Tony in the wheelchair looking anemic. I mean, looking sickly. I love how they made him look like he had been trapped in space for the past 30 days. 22 days, I think it was, to be exact. But I loved that. I thought that was awesome. And he has the meltdown of all meltdowns to Captain America when he says, "You were supposed to be there. I got a planet thrown at me by Thanos. I told you we would lose. I told you we needed a suit of armor around the world." Doctor Strange gave up the time. He was mad at everybody, and it was just a meltdown. I loved it. And then he just crumbles in his seat, and they sedate him. And then you get the scene of Captain Marvel getting upset. They go after Thanos. They find him on some planet because he uses the stones again. They run up on him. Captain Marvel puts him in the police chokehold that they use to kill black people with. She puts him in that chokehold, and she's choking the life out of him. And she's like, "Where are the stones? Where are the stones?" Oh, the craziest part, I skip over the gangster shit. They do what they should have done in Infinity War, is when Captain Marvel comes in, she blasts him, puts him in the chokehold. Banner comes in the Hulkbuster armor, grabs his arm. Thor comes in with Stormbreaker and chops his arm straight off, just yaps it off, gauntlet and all. Rocket comes in, turns over the gauntlet, and realizes the stones are gone. That's when they're like, "Where's the stones?" Thanos is like, "I destroyed them. They're gone. They're gone. I have won. I already did what I needed to do. So I destroyed the stones so nobody else would be tempted." So they're like, "You're lying." Nebula's like, "Hey, my dad is many things. A liar ain't one of them." So Thanos is like, "Thank you, daughter." And in mid-sentence, Thor chops his head off. Thor chops his head off. Thanos, dead. Thanks for coming. Roll credits. End of the movie. Rocket's like, "What did you do?" Thor said, "I went for the head." I was like, touche. Touche, you get it? Because he should have done it when it counted. But he didn't. So, anyway, then, after Thanos gets killed, the screen cuts to black, and you get 5 pause years later. Y'all think he's been dead for 5 years? It's been 5 years? Oh, that's when my heart skipped a beat, and I was like, I don't understand what this movie's gonna, what's gonna happen. What? So then I was like, okay, I'm in for a ride. This was all in the first 15 minutes. You see all the Avengers going through all the traumatic stuff. Black Widow's now in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. She's talking to a bunch of the Avengers, including Captain Marvel, who's in space. And, yeah. Then you get a rat in a lab crawling over some buttons. No, it's not a lab. It's a rat in a storage thing crawling over some buttons that activates Scott's van that's in like some storage lockup. He gets spit out of the quantum realm, realizes it's 20 whatever it is 5 years after the decimation, and then he goes straight to the Avengers base, kicks off the movie. Now they're at the base depressed. They see him at the thing. They get the whole idea. Okay, wait, time travel, boom boom bada bing. They go see Tony. Tony's like, yeah man, I'm not doing that. I got a daughter now. Him and Pepper both survived the snap, so he's got a daughter. He's not going to help the Avengers. Yeah, right. So, this is where things get interesting, kind of. I mean, everything's interesting. They go to meet Banner, because Tony's not going to help, so they meet Banner. Banner is now Professor Hulk. Great scene when they're in the... Great scene when they're in the diner. And he's just talking normal. Yeah, man, can you believe it? I'm wearing shirts now. He's taking pictures and selfies with everybody. It's great. It's hilarious. Professor Hulk was the highlight he was one of the highlights of the movie for me. So then they're like, yeah, we got to figure out this time travel thing. I think we can do it, but we really need some more help. But they know Tony's not going to do it. So they try to figure it out without Tony. They go back to the lab. They start doing all these practices. They turn Scott into a baby. They can't figure it out. Tony comes. They figure it out. Thus, they have their mission, go back in time, get the time stones from New York, from Thor 2 Ragnarok. I mean, Thor 2 Ragnarok. From Thor 2 The Dark World, and from Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. So they go back in the past. 3 Stones in New York was the one where they lucked out during the Battle of New York, because the Time Stone was also at the Sanctum Sanctorum with the Ancient One. So I loved everything about when they went to the Battle of New York. That was probably some of my favorite stuff in the movie. From them kicking Hulk out the elevator and making him take the stairs, to Captain America in the elevator scene that's just reminiscent to Winter Soldier. I thought for sure they were going to fight. I thought for sure he was going to fight everybody. But instead, when he hit him with the Hail Hydra line, I was like, yo, I like that. I like the shunning of expectations, not doing what I think you're going to do, but doing. I loved it. I loved everything about it. Then you get the Captain America versus Captain America fight, which was great. He beats him up, gets him in. 2012 Captain America was choking him out, and he was like, "Bucky's still alive." He taps him out, and he was like, "Yeah, that is America's ass." It was great. I loved it. This movie was just epic moment after epic moment after epic moment. It was just so much fan service. People say, do you need to see the other movies? How many other movies? I'm going to tell you, if you want to get the full 100 effect of Avengers Endgame, you need to see almost every movie, because they reference, at one point, I believe they reference every movie. It's just awesome. Another one of my favorite scenes is when Thor is in Asgard and he's talking to his mom, and she's like, "Oh, the future's been very rough on you, hasn't it?" He's like, "What are you talking about? I'm not from the future." She said, "You know, I'm your mother. You know these eyes can see." He said, "I'm totally from the future. I need to talk to you." Let me break down real quick. Fat Thor was the funniest shit in the movie. When we first see Fat Thor at the excuse me, very parched, doing a lot of talking here. When we first see Thor in New Asgard, and him and Korg and Meek. First of all, the theater cheered when Korg popped up. And they're playing Fortnite, and Korg starts dry snitching. He's back. The dude who called me a dickhead is back. I loved it. Oh, I love Hey Korg. Yeah, feel free to log onto the Wi-Fi. No password, of course. Everything Korg is my guy, so I loved Korg. I loved seeing Korg. That was awesome. But Fat Thor, hilarious. Everything about him. When he came into Avengers base wearing the glasses, I said it right before Robert Downey said it on screen. I was like, "Oh man, he looks like the dude." And then Robert Downey walks, "Hey Lebowski." I loved everything about it. So then they go get the times. They go back. Another great scene was Tony talking to his dad because they messed up getting the Tesseract in 2012. Because when Hulk is coming down the stairs, I love how he kicks through the door. No more stairs! Boom! Dude, the Hulk was awesome. Both as Professor Hulk and the bonus scenes we got of Hulk in 2012 are awesome. When they first get to New York and they see Hulk and he's just smashing the car with the alien underneath, and Banner's like, "Oh, I'm so embarrassed." And they were like, "Man, feel free to smash something while you're out there." He said, "I think it's gratuitous, but whatever." He rips his shirt off. He goes up there. Rawr. He gently smashes the gently smashes the taxi, picks up the motorcycle, tosses it. I was like, "Bro, stop. You're the Hulk. If you don't smash shit with conviction." Oh, this movie had me. It just had me at everything. I was so on board for this ride. I loved it. When War Machine and Nebula were on Boromir waiting for Star-Lord, and he comes in dancing, and they cut to the music they have the music from the original Guardians, and he's doing the dance, and yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then you cut to what War Machine and Nebula here, and they just see him dancing, and War Machine looks at him. "So he's an idiot, huh?" Bravo for a movie that had apocalyptic stakes. This was just very entertaining and very funny. I really enjoyed myself. I laughed so much at this movie. So then we get to the tragic point of the Soul Stone, which was one of the saddest parts of the movie. Hawkeye and Black Widow are sent to Vormir to get the Soul Stone. And once I knew, I was like, "Oh, which one of them is it going to be? Which one is it going to be?" Because after Hawkeye's family / Ronin, after his family gets snapped and he goes into Ronin mode, we get a really dope scene of him murdering Yakuza dudes out in Japan. And then Scarlet Witch goes to get him. And then that's when they formulate. And then when they're doing the test run, he volunteers to do the test run and goes back in time, and he sees his family. And that's what just really motivates him to, let's go do this. I got to do this now. So I loved that scene too. But then when they're on Vormir, him and Black Widow, you guys know I'm all over the place with my reviews or whatever. You're on board with it. So when they're on Vormir, I love it. I mean, they played the bait and switch of who's it going to be up until the last minute of who was going to die. Was it going to be Hawkeye? Was it going to be Black Widow? And I love how they did it, and at the end, it ended up being Black Widow. They killed my girl ScarJo. A tear did drop when they killed my girl ScarJo. So that was dope. And then he gets the time stone, they warp back, and everybody's like, yeah, it was a joyous occasion for 2 seconds, and then Banner's like, where's Nat? And then that was the down moment. They were just like, that was the down moment. The whole time this is going on, when War Machine and Nebula are getting the Power Stone from Morag, 2014 Thanos and 2014 Nebula's internal circuitry gets crosswired with her future self that is in the past. Thanos finds out about it. They go to Morag, intercept future Nebula, kidnap her, past Nebula, pretends to be future Nebula, goes back into the future, gives Thanos Pym particles before she goes so he can come to the future with his whole ship and his army, and then shit hits the fan, and I'm going to talk about that right now, because let's fast forward to the future. The Avengers have now come back with all the time stones, not knowing anything about what happened with Nebula. Excuse me, they come back with all the stones, not knowing what happened to Nebula. And they put the stones into an Iron Man made gauntlet that Banner then puts on. Thor wants to put it on, but they're like, nah, bro, you're just too drunk. You can't do it. They give it to Iron Man. They give it to Hulk. Hulk puts it on. Boom. Snaps his fingers, brings everybody back. But we don't know it yet, excuse me. But it worked. Because, we find out it works because Barton's wife calls. So we know it worked. But then, immediately, you see Thanos' ship come back through the time machine, expand, boom, blow up the roof of the Avengers base, immediately goes into orbit above the Avengers base and proceeds to pretty much nuke. It wasn't really a nuke, but he levels the Avengers base with an air bombardment of just missiles, just boom, 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 boom. It was the most intense moment because the build up between Hulk snapping his fingers, and then it was crazy because Hulk's on his back recovering from the snap, and he sees Thanos' ship starting to fire down, and boom, he blows up the Avengers base. The entire Avengers base has been leveled. Rhodey, Rocket Raccoon, and Hulk all get blasted like 4 floors down underneath all the rubble of the base. Hulk is basically holding up the entire building. Only thing stopping Rocket and Rhodey from being crushed. Rocket's already complaining he can't breathe. Rhodey gets out of his War Machine suit to save him. Ant-Man was able to shrink down to avoid being killed. He comes to try to save Rocket and Rhodey. Then Hawkeye grabs the gauntlet. He's underground. He realizes, oh shit, Thanos' army's here. Some Outriders are underground. He fights them off. Then Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man all team up to triple team Thanos, who's waiting for him. And then they start to fight, and it is an epic battle. It goes down. Thor, who has Mjolnir, I forgot to tell you, Thor got Mjolnir back when he was back in Asgard. He got Mjolnir back. So he's dual wielding Stormbreaker and Mjolnir fighting Thanos. Iron Man, it just goes down. Then Thanos beats the shit out of all 3 of them. He's about to kill Thor. There's one point where he's just socking Thor up. Thor tries to call Stormbreaker. Thanos snatches Stormbreaker out the sky, and he's about to stab Thor in the chest. And then you see Mjolnir start to rise. And the minute I start to rise, I already knew. I was like, yep, that's Cap. That's Cap. But then you see it hit Thanos, bam, and it bounces Thanos, and then you see Cap, and it just, boom, and then the music hits, and he starts to spin it, and he starts serving Thanos to get right. He's just like, bap, bap, wrecking him, hits him with the lightning. You know what I'm saying? It was dope. I was like, yeah, it was just everything you want to see in a comic book movie. Captain America wielding Mjolnir. It was so, thank you, Marvel. So then, at this point, Thanos has dropped Iron Man. He dropped Thor. He beats Captain America even with Mjolnir. He still beats him. Breaks the shield just like you saw in Age of Ultron and Tony's Vision. He breaks the shield just like that. Calls down his whole army. Captain America gets up. Lone Avenger. Tightens his shield. Facing down Thanos' whole army. And then on his earpiece you hear, Cap. Cap. This is Sam. On your left. And then a portal opens up. And fucking Black Panther, Okoye, Shuri come through the portal. Falcon flies through the portal, and then you see all these portals open up, and everybody comes back. Everybody comes back. The Guardians, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange. Everybody comes back, with the exception of Vision. And then the whole armies of Asgard are there. All the sorcerers from all the Sorcerer Supremes are there. The whole it is just everybody. And then you see Giant Man get big. He hops out the rubble from the Avengers base. Has Hulk and and War Machine and Rocket. The whole thing. Everybody's there. And then you see Avengers. Cap calls Mjolnir one more time. Boom. Assemble. And then the battle of all battles, epicness goes down. It goes down. As they're trying to keep the gauntlet from Thanos, everybody gets their moment. Black Panther gets his moment. Spider-Man gets his moment. Valkyrie's there. She's on a Pegasus riding around. It's just epicness. Pepper Potts is in an Iron Man suit. Her and Iron Man back to back fighting. Thor and Captain America. Captain America's using Stormbreaker. Thor says, "Nah, give me that." Tosses a Mjolnir. He's like, "You get the little one." They go in there putting in all the work. So then, Thanos finally gets his hands on the gauntlet. Thor and them guys try to stop him one more time. Then they say, we got to get the stones to the time machine to get him back to the regular time. Thanos is trying to stop him. He runs into Scarlet Witch. That's what happens. He runs into Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is like, "You took everything from me." He's like, "I don't even know who you are." Because he doesn't. This is 2014 Thanos. So she starts to give him the business. I mean, she basically she had him beat. She was taking it to him. His ship was still floating above, so he commands Ebony Maw. He said, "Rain down fire." All the guns start shooting down, and they just start leveling everybody. They take out Scarlet Witch, Spider-Man, everybody. The Sorcerer Supreme start putting up shields to protect as many people as they can, but they were about to be done for. And then all of a sudden, you just see the guns stop, and they reposition. They start shooting through the air. Iron Man's like, "What's going on?" And they say, you hear, "Something's entering the atmosphere." You see Captain Marvel come down. Boom! Destroys Thanos' ship. Takes it to Thanos. Starts fighting him. He has the gauntlet on, but he hasn't been able to snap because she's holding his hand. She's fighting him. He tries to headbutt her. She's like, "Nope, that don't work." She's giving it to him. She's about to beat him. This dude snatches the Power Stone out of the glove and just socks her with it. I was like, "Oh, that was savage." Then he puts the stone back in his hand. Doctor Strange is like, "This is the one opportunity in the 14 million. So Tony says, "Alright," he attacks Katana one more time, tries to get the gauntlet off. Thanos smacks him up. Nobody around. Thanos is like, I am inevitable. Boom. Snaps his fingers again. Nothing happens. He turns his hand over. All the stones are gone. You look at Iron Man, because he built it. It was nanotech, so he was able to transfer the stones from his gauntlet to his Iron Man suit. You see the stones coming into position on his gauntlet. He says, I am Iron Man. Boom. Snaps Thanos' whole army out of it. Done. Thanks for coming. But he's dead as a motherfucker. You really think a human can be able to take the power of the gauntlet? No. Tony's done. It almost killed the Hulk. It almost killed Thanos. Tony's done. So Tony dies. They have a funeral. Thor goes off with the Guardians. Everybody goes back. He says, as Guardians of the Galaxy, I hope we get that movie. Future Gamora, 2014 Gamora was brought to the future, but she doesn't know Quill. So I'm hoping Guardians 3 with Thor is them trying to find Gamora. That's the movie I want to see now. So, and this basically closes the book on all six of the original Avengers. Black Widow's dead. Hawkeye's going back with his family. Iron Man's dead. Cap takes the stones back in time to their original places, then goes back, gets with Peggy Carter and lives out his life, comes back to the future as an old man, retires. So Cap is still alive, but he's old now, finally. Banner's probably retired because his arm is done. His arm is toast. He's Professor Hulk, but he's still got his strength, but his arm is shot. So he's done, and then Thor is off with the Guardians. So that's it for the original 6. So if there's another Avengers movie, it's going to be completely different. And I loved how they did that. Everybody got a close. It was awesome. Another scene that I want to give props to because it was so awesome, because I've talked about it with some of my friends how I wanted to see that. And there was a scene when they're trying to protect the gauntlet, and Captain Marvel has it, and Peter's like, you're going to need some help. She's like, she has help. And all the ladies, superheroes is there. Gamora, Nebula, Scarlet Witch, everybody. I know I'm forgetting. Okoye, Shuri, Wasp. Everybody was there. They was all there. Mantis, everybody, and then they all had, it was super dope. I loved it. It was really dope. This movie just it exceeded all expectations. It was funny. I loved it. I have to see it again. I probably might do another video. No post credit scene. It ends with Captain America dancing with Peggy in his house, in his life, in like 1950s, 1960s, something like that. Man, it was a great movie. It was just a great movie. If I gotta rate this movie, I'm giving this a 9.79 out of 10. This was a great movie. 9.8 out of 10. This was a great movie, man. When it was over, I was like, man, it was just so much to absorb. I cheered so many times. When he said, Avengers, assemble, I said, yes, finally, 4 movies. It took you to say it, but it was worth it. Ant-Man fucking punched one of the fucking giant ships that the Chitauri be using. It was just so much epicness. There was a moment when Spider-Man was running around. He said, oh, activate instant kill. And he just started murdering. Like, it was dope. It was... There was a moment when he got saved by Mjolnir. Cap threw Mjolnir and was like, hey, Queens. He shot his web and was flying through the air on the back of Mjolnir, hanging from his webbing. I mean, it was just... the epicness in this movie. I can't say it enough. I can't say it enough. Go see this movie. Alright, I gotta wrap it up. It's been almost a half hour. I didn't know I was gonna go this long. Make sure you see this movie. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, Avengers, thank you. Marvel, thank you. Peace. 100, y'all.
So faded on a track like this, 'cause the music makes me high.